James. And this is going to be the unboxing of the Lulzbot Mini 3D printer. As you can probably tell, I'm in a hotel room. I do quite a bit of traveling for long periods of time. Manual. Just checking to make sure I'm still in the frame. GoPro's pretty neat. Manual over there. Power cords, tools, USB drive, wipers. It's packaged pretty well. I guess you may see from time to time ice. Ice, come here. Come here. Yep, you can see her. Ice, look. Look at the camera. Oh, she said hi. So here is the printer. How to get it out of here is a good question. This is what it looks like inside the box after taking off. First, packing securing material. Okay. So I'm just crushing away the foam from the parts, crushing it to the side of the box so I can pull it out. The other side doesn't need to come out, just easily lifts up. Box out of the way. Throw some of the packing material in there. This should just lift off. It's actually quite a bit smaller than I thought it would be. It's excellent for carrying. It's got padded feet, so it doesn't scratch up whatever surface you have it on. And so there it is. Much closer view. And the GoPro doesn't necessarily do a great job of keeping things out of the fisheye lens effect. So that's what we see. I'm going to go ahead and move it further back and we can get started with actually getting it right. Now I'm doing this from the very beginning. I'm trying to make sure that, unlike me, people in the future have a full guide start to finish of how to start this thing up and use it with no knowledge. I've never 3D printed, I've never had a 3D printer, I've never seen one in person, but it looked fun. I've been wanting one for a long time, so I decided to do it. Unfortunately, my filament
got delayed in the mail, so I don't have it today. Hopefully I will have it tomorrow. Many safety warnings. Burn, electric shock, fire, pinch, ventilation, age, 18 and up, choke hazard. It says do not leave the printer unattended. Legal requirements and the inspector's review. Right there. I just covered up the serial number. Apparently, I got somebody else's printer, or they reviewed it twice. Ah, there it is. Packing list and quality assurance record. We should do what it says. Sticker. Very large. I guess it's about a A4 piece of paper times 1.5. Just a big overview of the printer itself. This is the hips filament that was provided. I guess it's enough to make the octopus. Thank you for choosing Lulzbot Mini desktop 3D printer, of course. So, here we are. We've unpacked the Lulzbot Mini. We've got to remove the packaging. Save all provided packaging materials in case you need to transport the 3D printer in the future. Good advice. Right there. So we've got, per the picture, foam here. And what you didn't see is I pulled it off of the rail here. These are also on the rail. Another rail guard, I guess, in the front, one in the back. It looks like there's already a wiper installed for the self-cleaning nozzle right here. And as far as I can tell, there's no more packaging. We'll go ahead and move it back. I'll get you up here on the same level. So, I've already downloaded the software. I'm not going to do that again. Let's continue with the setup. So, I did run through the software configuration ahead of time. Everyone's done that. You've built, well, you've installed things on your computer. It's the same thing, just follow the prompts. So it says to connect and power on your Lulzbot. Power switch has got to be off, which it wasn't. Step 4B, connect the USB cable to the computer. No, there's an octopus already printed. So this is the one my machine printed first. If you haven't seen or didn't know, they do print a test model off of your machine for the quality assurance test. So here's a close-up of the tools that you get in the package. Looks basically like a dental pick and a wire paintbrush. Here's a snazzy set of tweezers for removing excess filament. A little more light. I don't know how much that helps. Sorry if it's a little too dark. And finally in the bag of parts is the USB drive and hex wrench, Allen wrench. I'm going to set those aside for the moment along with the old model and the filament and go ahead and connect it. Everything's packaged pretty well, no complaints. I like that they didn't use twist ties. However, they do have twist ties here, which is okay. This is your standard printer cable. Wrap it around. Since I'm traveling, I have my laptop with me. Bought that TV over there on a Father's Day sale, 150 bucks for a 32-inch. Couldn't pass it up. So that's my setup right now. You can't even see the laptop, so I'll make sure to put everything on the big screen, if there is anything. I guess this is the clam knife that they said is included for removing items from the hotbed once they've cooled. These are the extra white pads. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the power. Now I'm checking on the back on one of the printers. I saw that they weren't set for 110 out of the box. However, this one says it will take input from either, so I don't believe that there will be a switch to change the voltage setting. I'm just making sure the cables are not going to interfere with any of the moving parts. And it's pretty small, like I said earlier, quite a bit smaller than I thought it was. I've got big hands, but this is right in front of the printer, and you see the size of it. I would say it's approximately maybe 1.5 feet by 2 feet by 1 foot deep. You can probably find the measurements online, but it really is a lot smaller than I thought it would be, which is good. So 4A, switch is off. Connect the USB, it's 4B. 4C, connect the power cord, done. It says power it on. So I just powered it on. I hear what sounds like a fan has fired up. It says, prepare the model for your first print. A 3D model named Roctopus will automatically load into Cura's virtual print bed the first time you run the software. Roctopus is the first object you will 3D print on your Lulzbot Mini. So I'll bring the camera over here, and we'll go ahead and bring the Lulzbot up, or Cura up. Alright, so it looks like I've got to move the camera a little bit closer. So that you can see what's on the big screen. I don't know how this is going to work. Should have planned better. I've got it in the center. And like I said earlier, GoPro's got a bit of a fisheye lens, so it's a bit strange. We could also watch some Archer if you want. Maybe a little later. So right now we're going to launch Cura. I already launched it once and the octopus did show up. So we may have to follow the contingency plan of it not showing up. Alright, it didn't. So middle click is zoom in and out. Right click is rotate. And control click does nothing. Shift right click pans the view, and that's what we're looking to do. So I believe it says that we're gonna have to load the model if it doesn't work. I bet that it's gonna be in here under Cura. STL. Roctopus. There it is. Ooh. He's a little wavy there for a second. So here we go. We got him centered. Check him out. Instead of the Roctopus, instead of the octopus like we saw printed earlier, this one's going to be a little more detailed, if you notice. He's got his hands up there. Alright. So, you still can't see it. Sorry about that. That should work. Here's the little one. Now it says we're going to locate the included 1 meter or 40-inch yellow coil, which I've located right here. And move on to step 5 continued. Step 5C is going to involve messing with the printer itself, which is unfortunately a little low light, but it looks like the picture's okay. Just want to make sure that you can see everything that is going to help you or not help you on deciding whether or not to purchase this Lulzbot Mini. Alright, so left side of the screen, select Quick Print Profile, select Normal Quality Print, then under Materials, select Hips. I'm going to move you back over here. Do that. The left side of the screen. Normal quality is already selected. Hips is selected. And it says to control the Lulzbot Mini and set the temperature. Now we're going to click the control button, which you can see just barely up here. And that brought up the control. So we're going to set the temperature according to the HIPS requirements. We've already done this step right here. Now we're on step 6B. Raise the hot end to 240 and click set. So it's already highlighted 240 and we click set. And it says that we can monitor the temperature by watching the status bar, and it's heating up pretty quickly actually. That's degrees Celsius, so each jump is quite a bit bigger than a Fahrenheit jump. So, an appropriate warning. Hot end is now heating up to 240 degrees centigrade Celsius, or 464 degrees Fahrenheit. So right now, I'm going to move the camera again. All right. So this step is telling us that we need to change out the filament, and the idler retainer is this item right here with the two springs that you see. It's told me to release it by grabbing the springs compress the springs with your thumb and slide up. Okay, so don't push this way, push this way. Now that's what it says. Oh. So that's how it works. You do push this way. I thought it would have more give, but the springs are pretty tight. Alright. So it says, the hinge idler now may move freely, which is this. And it told me to lower it counterclockwise. As you see, I've done that. Nicely with the paper in the way, so I just lowered it. That's the process right there. I'm gonna go ahead and do it again just to practice a little bit. It's quite difficult. I don't know if it's supposed to be that difficult. The springs, this item doesn't actually compress at all. It seems to get stuck at some point. I may have to check into that. So there it is. Seems okay. So I'm going to lower this piece. That looks like it's as far as it's going to go. And the next step says wait till the status bar of the printer interface shows the temperature has reached 240 degrees centigrade. It's at 239. And come on, 240. I wonder if it's going to get to 240. Or, I see what it's doing. It slows down the heating process at the end so it doesn't overshoot the temperature goal, which is a great thing. Alright. So once temperatures reach 240, it has. Pinch the hips filament located in the tool head and remove it by pulling up. Gotta get a good grip on it. And looks like there's a bit of melted hips there coming out. So you don't really want to do that, I guess, because it cooled on me. That's what happened. That little thread, I don't know if you can see it in the film. The next step is to prepare and load filament. That means pull up the filament holder, but you couldn't see that, so I'll let you see it. This is the filament holder over here. It goes all the way up. And this is where the spindle for the filament will go. Move the screen back a little bit, see if we can get a view up top. So that was step 8A. Step 8B is they strongly recommend using the included 1 meter hips filament sample for your first roctopus print. Mount the hips filament sample in the filament holder so the filament can feed down into the tool head. And the picture right there makes it look pretty simple. I haven't yet inserted it into the tool head yet, though they do seem to think that I need a lot of warnings about the tool head being hot, which is good. Don't want anyone to burn themselves. It's supposed to be fun and educational. So it says locate the feed hole in the extruder body where you removed the loaded filament during step 7. Filament feeds through this hole and down into the hot end for printing. So as far as I can tell, it's going to be right there between the 2 rails connected to the springs. That's where I pulled the other filament from. So round the filament around. Not very friendly here. The loop is really large, so that's the problem. It says make sure the idler retainer is touching the springs so it is out of the way. According to the picture I have, it is, and it is, both touching and out of the way. And it says push the hips filament sample down into the feed hole in the extruder body and through the hot end until a small amount of filament comes out of the tip of the nozzle. So there it went, right into the hole, easy as you please, I think. Pulling more gunk out from that one. Okay, so I pushed it in there and it was a little stuck, so jiggled it around and found the spot where it would go through. And I think you saw it pushed a little bit out the side. Excuse me, out the bottom. And that's right down there. So I believe that's where we're going to need this tool. Let's go to the next step and see what it says. It says to raise the hinged idler. So what I'm going to do first is pull this up, the hinged idler come in, squeeze this to re-secure it, and it is now retained back in place. So verify the print extrusion is step 10 right there, which means we're going back to the computer. And to do that, make sure the Lulzbot Mini is ready for printing by verifying the printer's ability to extrude filament. Using your computer, click the Extrude 10 button in the printer interface and look for filament to feed through the nozzle. So, Extrude 10. This is the one pictured, and we're going to go ahead and do that. But since you know where it is on the computer, I'm going to go over here so you can see it in action on the extruder itself. Made noise, and it's extruding. Got a nice little mess there. So we see filament, we've done well. The step 10C says wait 10 seconds for the filament to cool, then remove the extruded filament with the included tweezers. I'm going to do that right now. I had to take a little retaining pin off of the tweezers, it kept them shut. It's very hard already, so it has cooled. Now step 11 says start your first print. I'll back you up here a little bit. It says wait, are you sure you're ready to print? Check one final time to make sure you removed all the packaging foam from your Lulzbot Mini during step 1. Alright, we check. Check here, no foam. Check here, no foam. Check here, no foam. Check even more places, no foam. We look to be good to go. So we'll take you back over to the computer. And it says that we're supposed to click print on the printer interface window to start your first 3D print. Then watch your Lulzbot Mini automatically prepare itself for 3D printing. This is the button highlighted in the instructions right there. And since you know where it is, we're going to go ahead and do that. But I'm going to move you over here so you can get a good view of exactly what the printer is doing. And clicking. That was fast. It's quite loud too. Now I'm going to go ahead and let it run. I'm going to keep the camera running so you can see the whole process. Putting the filament in this situation behind the printer looks to be the best because it doesn't stay out of the way of the machine. So what it's doing right now, it's raised up. You can't probably see it. It's dropping the temperature. Why? I don't know. But let's see if the instructions tell me anything. Nope. It says nothing. So what do we do? Let's wait. See what happens. I think 240 is supposed to be the temperature at which Hips prints. So I don't know what it's doing. Temperature's down to 201, 200. $195. Now, the slightly annoying thing is that it hasn't told me why it's reducing the temperature, no warning, no anything like that. Also, nothing in the instructions state that the temperature is going to decrease. I hear changes in sound, but not too much. I'm thinking that possibly something is going wrong. I'm gonna keep recording and see what happens. Maybe I can cant it this way so you can see. Oh. So the temperature is now 158 degrees. It started spinning. Temperature is 160. Looks like it overshot the 160 goal and now came back up to 160. The bed temperature is 69 degrees, so that must have been what it was doing, getting the appropriate temperature for the extrusion device and getting the appropriate temperature for the bed so the material will stick. Let's go ahead and get a close-up here of the leveling process. This is the thing that the Lulzbot Mini has that made me purchase it over other devices. The self-leveling, which I know can be done with others through a bit of code or through a bit of tinkering and sensors. That feature comes automatically on this device, which was a plus for me. Plug and play is exactly what I was looking for. So, as you see today, I took it out of the box and I've done nothing with it except follow the instructions, which basically said, put it on the table, plug it in, and push a couple buttons. I haven't had to do any adjustments yet, and I think that it has leveled itself, and it's now ramping up the temperature again of the hot end to make sure that it can extrude properly. It's at 180 degrees right now, and the bed is now 85. So the bed's still heating up. The extruder temperature is also still heating up. I don't want to take you away from the printer, but maybe canting it like that. No, it's not helping much. Nope. We're just going to move it right here and wait. Watch and wait. I heard it click. Temperature's 230. I think once it gets back up to 240, that's the hip's extrusion temperature, and that's what we're looking for. There we go, and so it begins. I love that sound. Reminds me of, I guess, early 90s, late 80s version of a computer. Sounds a little bit like a modem, I guess, without the static. Pretty neat. So, I saw this online from the other prints. It does an outline first. I think the reason it does that, just on instant speculation, is to get the filament all extruded out and flowing well, so when the model actually starts to build, it's going to produce a nice, smooth extrusion. Just a theory, but it looks like it worked. The hips filament is flowing smoothly, putting down that first layer. So, I don't know if you can see it. Let me pull up the GoPro app to see how it looks. Yeah, you can't really see the detail and it's dark, which is my fault. If that helped at all. But you can tell which parts of the material are still wet, cold, etc. So you can also see the lines of where it was coming out of the extruder and laying down on the bed. Right now, temperature is 239, the bed is 109. You can see the graph here for the temperature. That far left side is where it cooled down and then ramped back up. So I'm just going to leave it there until it finishes. It's probably going to take about 30 minutes, it said. Let's see. The Lulzbot Mini will first cool down and move to the back of the bed to clean off its nozzle. After cleaning, your Lulzbot Mini will then conduct an automated bed leveling sequence, heat up to final temperature, and start printing. This process can take approximately 4 minutes. Ah, had I read that ahead of time, we wouldn't have been clueless, now would we? So that's what we did see. We saw it drop the temperature, move to the back, wiped off the extrusion nozzle, the hot end, and leveled itself, front left, front right, back left. It says, after the Lulzbot Mini is finished 3D printing, the hot end and print bed will automatically move into the cooling position. That means the tool head in the top left and the print bed set back. It says, actively cooling. Do not attempt to remove the 3D printed object before the print bed moves forward. Attempting to do so could either burn your skin on the hot end or print bed, or damage your 3D printed object. Surprisingly, it doesn't mention damaging the bed, but I imagine that's also a possibility. So what we do is just wait until it finishes printing, moves to the back, cools down, then moves back to the front, and that would be the end of it. It says that it's going to use 0.8 meters or 6 grams of filament. They gave me a meter as the, I guess, test print material. So I should have a tiny bit left to maybe do a very small, low depth 3D object for a second print. It shows that when using the knife, we should pry up the little pieces first and then move from the outside in, getting all the small pieces on the outside, and then go for the big middle piece so nothing snaps off. Getting busy now. I can see the inner support structure starting to take shape. It's kind of a diagonal pattern from our perspective. See if you can get close in there and take a look at it. See that? Now, it's loud, but it's not so loud that it's uncomfortable. It's not so loud that it's annoying. I pretty much didn't even notice the noise until right now that I'm mentioning it. So, it's not as bad as some other people may have made it sound. And I imagine also that you could easily go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever craft store you have nearby and get some Lexan or Luan and cut it out to fit around the openings and decrease the sound. On the left side, above the component controls, well, above the electronics housing, there's an opening. Looks like you could probably fit a fan inside. So if you do close it in, I'd recommend venting it so that the machine can maintain proper temperatures. But also be careful for the clearance of the motors at their most extreme positions to make sure that they don't hit anything you do decide to enclose. Oh, I just noticed there's the carrying handle. It's up on the inside. It's 3D printed out of black material. It's got 5 grips, which is interesting because we've got 4 fingers that can hold in that position. Fun times. Pretty interesting here on the computer program. You notice this green bar here. This is a progress bar, so you know how close your project is to being done. Looks like we're about a third of the way, just over. I'll take you back. One of the things I was wondering as I was watching other print jobs go is how the print head handles moving from one spot to another without dragging little pieces of filament. Specifically here, I mean from the main body of the octopus, or the roctopus, to the hand that will be throwing the sign. As I'm looking at it, and you can probably see it as well, there is no filament dragging between the main body and that arm. So it looks like the head does an excellent job of stopping the flow, moving across, and starting the flow again immediately, then stopping it and coming back. Actually, you just saw that, didn't you? Take a look at the gear. Watch the gear as it goes back and forth between the two pieces. It spins backwards, so it pulls the filament away, then spins forward really quickly again to push filament back down. So I guess that's exactly how it does it. And that sound you heard was the filament springing back down after falling off of the filament holder. Right now it's dangling in front of the machine, which is probably the best because that seems to be the closest place where it won't fall into anything important. Pan back so you can see what I'm talking about right there. That click click sound was the filament falling off the top. Now it's off to the left. Doesn't seem to be hitting anything, it's just strong enough to hold itself up. As it's finishing up, I'd just like to take you around and show you the other parts as it's working. You see there the fan keeps the hot end at an appropriate temperature. Looks like it just finished. So now you see it's moving to its default position. Extrusion head and printing device, top left. The cooling bed at the far back. Over here on the computer, you see that it shows finished. The printing temperature down to 220. Bed was at 110, so it looks like it's all going down. Shouldn't take too long, it looks like. Move it back over to I've angled the camera that way, so hopefully I can use the clam knife here to get him off the bed, but still be able to show you while I'm doing it. I know the bed's going to come forward when it does finish. Now I believe this device is touted as a rep wrap, or a device that can replicate itself. However, the piece that's used for the spindle holder for filament looks to be too long for the bed on this device. It looks like it was made on maybe the TAS 3, 4, or 5, because it's longer than this bed, even diagonally, I think. Here's what the book says to do to get the octopus off. Roctopus. The difference, as you see now, is one guy is holding his hand up, giving the devil horns, and one guy isn't. The printing temperature, so the print head is now down to 135, and the bed is down to 84. 84 centigrade is still very hot, so maybe it's going to take a little longer than I thought.
Just take a picture with my phone. I won't share.
Printing temperature down to 90, bed down to 71. And just to show you what that looks like. It doesn't seem to have added any new text to the output box, which you would think it would. It would say done printing, cooling, expected cooling time, X, Y, Z, etc. Maybe that's something you can change. And apparently my camera's about to run out of batteries. It's in a housing, so I can't charge it. Well, we'll just run it till it runs out of batteries. Matter of fact, I kind of got the GoPro to record things that I'm going to do with the printer. And if it can't handle this amount of time on one battery charge, I don't think it's worth having. So I might take it back. get something else for that enormous price tag that a GoPro goes for these days, which is great for the stockholders, not so great for the consumer, especially if the battery is so low or such small capacity. But I am kind of demanding a lot out of it. I guess it's an hour of 1080p recording at 30 frames per second. We'll see. I'd like to run it all the way until it finishes cooling so you can see how long it takes. The whole process now is about 40 minutes. Hey, there it is. It says it's ready to go. So we'll go ahead and try to pry it up. I'm using the sharp edge, kind of pushing down. The bed's still pretty hot, so I'm going to do my best to not even glance it. I saw a review on Amazon about some fellow complaining that he cut himself during this process. So a safety tip for those who don't know or don't handle knives very much: the best bet is to always cut away from yourself. However, in places like this, it looks like it's not possible. That was simple. I didn't apply any pressure against it. This way I'm going to cut away from myself, or at least push. Looks like it broke loose fairly easily. I'm using both hands kind of to ensure that I have a lot of control and I'm not pushing strangely. So I'm kind of holding the knife like this, together with two hands. This one I am pulling towards myself, but my hands are nowhere near the blade. So now I've got the outsides of all of the legs done. I'll try to go in a little further. And he just popped right off. And there it is. Start to finish. You can see a couple of little stray strands, but other than that, he's in good shape. He's not hot to the touch or anything. I'd say that's a success, folks, and this is James signing off.